Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our MISAT Bulletin, and we shall start with our headlines. UNICEF says Yemen cholera death toll mounts to 209. Grisly 24-hour period leaves for dead in Venezuela unrest. And moving on to our details, starting with Cairo. King Abdullah II of Jordan arrived on Wednesday for a one-day visit to Cairo to discuss regional issues and cooperation with Egypt, as well as the Palestinian-Israeli peace process. King Abdullah was received by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi at Cairo International Airport. The two Arab leaders discussed preparations for the upcoming Islamic Summit in Saudi Arabia on 21st of May, which will gather a range of Arab and Islamic leaders along with U.S. President Donald Trump. They also discuss joint counter-terrorism efforts. On to Sana'a, a cholera outbreak in Yemen has killed 209 people in recent weeks, with 17,200 suspected cases across the country, according to what the United Nations Children's Agency said on Wednesday. UNICEF's Yemen admission said that there had been an alarming increase in cholera-related deaths. The agency's Yemen spokesman said that 3,000 new suspected cholera cases a day were being reported. Moreover, the International Committee of the Red Cross said on Monday that 184 people had died of the disease since April 27th, with 11,000 suspected cases across the country. It's worth mentioning that cholera is a highly contagious bacterial infection spread through contaminated food or water. In Kabul, militants stormed the national television and radio station in the eastern Afghan city of Jalalabad on Wednesday, triggering a gunfight as journalists remained trapped inside the building. No insurgent group has so far claimed responsibility for the attack in Nangarhar province. Government spokesman said 3 gunmen entered the RTA Radio Television Afghanistan building this morning. 2 of them have been killed and 1 is still resisting. From another aspect, last month the U.S. military dropped its largest non-nuclear bomb in Nangarhar, killing dozens of IS militants. Moving on to the United States, U.S. Ambassador Nikki Haley accused North Korea on Tuesday of intimidating the entire international community with its nuclear program, military ability, and cyber attacks, and said any country that doesn't implement UN sanctions is supporting Pyongyang's actions. Haley's remarks came before emergency closed-door consultations by the UN Security Council on the North weekend ballistic missile launch, which experts said demonstrated a significant technological jump, with the rocket flying higher and for a longer period of time. Haley also said the US and China have been working on a unified plan on how to approach North Korea that would include stronger implementation of existing sanctions and tougher new sanctions. Additionally, Russia President Vladimir Putin offered on Wednesday to turn over to Congress records of President Donald Trump's discussions with Russian diplomats, in which Trump is said to have disclosed classified information. Putin told a news conference that he would be willing to turn over notes of Trump's meeting with the Russian diplomats if the White House agreed. He dismissed outrage over Trump's disclosures as U.S. politicians whipping up anti-Russian sentiment. Putin's remarks come as Washington was reeling over revelations late Tuesday that Trump personally appealed to FBI Director James Comey to abandon the Bureau's investigation into National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. And going to natural crises, 2 people died and dozens were injured when tornadoes flattened a mobile home park in Wisconsin and a housing subdivision in Oklahoma during powerful spring storms that battered an area from the South Plains of Texas to the Great Lakes. The storms hit on Tuesday. 1 person died at the mobile home park, according to what the Wisconsin Emergency Operations Center said late Tuesday. It added that more than 25 people were injured. In Oklahoma, another tornado damaged much of a subdivision on the southern fringe of Elk City, killing one person, destroying 40 homes, and damaged 50 to 75 others severely. And finally, business owners shuttered shops, burned police stations to cheer the black, and the state officer in western Venezuela was under arrest on Tuesday, following a spasm of violence that resulted in at least 4 deaths in anti-government protests. Authorities announced Tuesday that 4 men ranging in age from 17 to 33 had died from gunshot wounds at separate protests over the preceding day. Meanwhile, the weeks of protests were set off by the socialist government's move to nullify the opposition-controlled Congress in late March, but demonstrations have escalated into a vehicle for airing grievances against the government for triple-digit inflation, food shortages, and a rise in crime. And before ending our news, let's take another look at the most important headlines for today. UNICEF says Yemen cholera death toll mounts to 209. Grisly 24-hour period leaves 4 dead in Venezuela unrest. And we reach the end of our MISA bulletin for today. Thank you for joining us.